Hi, Alyssa.
Hi,
So good to see you.
you too.
I'm thrilled to see where you're at, and I can't wait for you to share with everyone in the community. I mean, you have just such a strong presence in the fertility community, and I appreciate everything that you do and share. And thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Of course. Yeah, I've been following you since I was looking back at our messaging, March of 2021.
Oh, wow.
When
Yeah.
I started following. When did you start sharing about your fertility journey publicly?
Summer of 2018.
2019.
Yeah.
Okay. And gosh, so much has transpired in your life, and you've had one of those long fertility journeys that many would be amazed to hear, like
Yeah,
9
it's been very
rounds,
long.
9 rounds of IVF. Take us back. Like, I mean, gosh, there's so much to share, and I want to just dive in, but share a little bit. You're based in San Francisco.
Yeah, so I'm based in San Francisco. My husband and I are both from the Bay Area. He's from right outside the Bay Area. We've both lived here since grad school. It's kind of become like our home, and we're here to stay. And we met in 2017, like really early 2017, and pretty much right off the bat just knew that we wanted to do what everyone does, buy a house and get married and start trying for a baby. So we accomplished two of those things. And then we started trying pretty much right away, actually, before we were even married. And it just wasn't working out. So then we jumped into IVF, and we've been doing IVF since 2019. So it's been a really long journey. But yeah, we're based out of San Francisco. My husband, he works from home. It's been amazing having him, just the support system here all the time. And I'm currently not working and just focusing on building, building out our new life and making this baby and getting it earthside. So
You would think that you work full time in the fertility space, like with how much you share. It's incredible.
yeah, it's like a full-time job. I will say, just like this pregnancy, it's super high risk. And then IVF and just the community, like it's been a full-time job.
Yeah. So in some of what you've been diagnosed with, could you share a bit of kind of when that started and what led you to IVF in the first place?
Yeah, so I had an ectopic where my tube was ruptured and completely just shattered. I had to do an emergency surgery, and they had told me that they repaired the tube. So we were trying and nothing was happening, and it was like, okay, this is like what's going on. And I do have some weird anatomy. I have two uteruses, or uteri, they call them. And the doctors just kind of like kept saying, you're fine, you're fine. So I just went to an RE on my own. I was like, I don't feel fine. And the RE read through my emergency surgery report, and he was just like, your tube wasn't salvaged. Like, it's not usable. They shut it, they closed it off. It says right here in the report. So just nobody had really ever read the report very closely, and it had been mislabeled. And so he was just like, you're a great candidate for IVF. Let's just get you going. And at that point, we just wanted to have a family so bad, and we had already been through a lot. So we just jumped right in. And we're met with amazing results. We got 12 PGS normal embryos, and our first transfer worked, and it was amazing. I always look back at like how naive I was and how lucky I was to have the first transfer work, because that doesn't always happen. And it was great until it wasn't. It was a really, really high risk pregnancy. A lot of our tests kept coming back up normal. There were a lot of things going on that led us down the road of like, we were at the hospital every week trying to figure out if the baby was okay. And then ultimately we decided that we needed to do a whole exome gene sequencing, because we weren't really getting the answers we needed. And then that led us to some answers. And unfortunately, we lost our son to a very, very rare genetic defect.
Cool.
And yeah, cool. And so we lost him at just right before 24 weeks in March of 2020. And like I said, that was our first IVF transfer. We didn't really know what was coming at that point. with the world, like the shutdown. I lost him the first week of lockdown,
Oh my
which
goodness.
was really hard. And just, yeah, we had no idea what was about to happen. So that was really hard and tragic. It was nice that we had answers, like we knew what was going on and why he wasn't compatible with life, but we didn't, it doesn't, yes, we had answers, but we didn't really know what that would mean for our future. And then I always kind of say my IVF journey really started when we lost him. And that's when I really started to educate myself about the process and learn about all the different testing that you can do and things like that. So yeah, I guess my formal, and then later we found out a bunch of other things. So my diagnoses are like, double uteri, genetic defect. I have endometriosis. I have adenomyosis. I have an immune issue. I had scar tissue, recurrent pregnancy loss. So just a lot of different issues that we faced.
Yeah. 9 transfers, right?
Yeah, I've done 2 egg retrievals and 9 transfers.
Oh my gosh. And then at your 6th transfer too, you had a blighted ovum. Is that right?
Yeah. So out of the 9 transfers, 3 have stuck. 1 was our son Cole. 1 is the baby that I'm currently pregnant with. And then my 6th transfer was a blighted ovum.
Yeah. You're due. And do you want to share with everybody?
Yeah. August 11th.
Oh, you know the date. Oh my gosh. Yeah. With a little boy. Yeah. I'm so excited. Yeah. You've been so, open and transparent. I just love that about you, Alyssa, just sharing. If I could read something you shared recently that, with having Cole, like he is the reason why your current little boy, his brother, has a chance, that Cole has taught you so many things about life, love, and loss. Yeah. What are some of those gifts that he's taught you?
Well, first off, he's taught me that I'm a lot stronger than I thought I was. When you lose a baby and you birth your baby and you don't get to bring your baby home, I think it's one of the most traumatic things that someone can go through, or a mother can go through, a father as well. And you have to survive, because that that's what they'd want you to do. And that they would want you to have a sibling for them. And, they give you strength, although it's what's breaking you, it's also what's giving you strength and hope to keep going. I never really understood loss. I wasn't surrounded by loss a lot as a child. I had lost, grandparents, but it was always, we knew it was coming. And of course, sad. It's just really different when you lose your baby. And it just taught me so much about life and how life is really precious and you shouldn't take things for granted, and just how special a bond with your baby is before the baby's even born. That was a really big thing. Like, Cole was never here. Well, he was once he was born, but he wasn't alive, but he was never really here earthside with us. But like, the bond that I have with him just feels so strong. And I would have never imagined I could have had a bond so strong with my baby.
That's so beautiful. Was it at 12 weeks that you learned that he was not doing well?
No, 12 weeks. Well, we had like some of those screener scares where it's like 1 in 17 chance, but those are just screeners and they're often false positives. So that was kind of the start of like, okay, something could be wrong, but then those were all cleared. And around the 17-week mark, we were like really celebrating and happy. And then at the 18-week mark, which I'm turning 18 weeks this Friday, we learned that like he just wasn't growing. At 16 weeks, I kind of expected something, but it's still so early. They really tell you at those early anatomy scans, like, hey, we can't see much. We'll keep an eye on this, but like really the baby is still developing. The anatomy isn't clear. And then by 18 weeks, they were like, we should really be seeing more. And that kind of is what took us down the path of like an MRI, the whole exome gene sequencing, some other tests that we were able to run. And so I started around like 16 to 18 weeks.
Okay. Well, and he, just has taught you, being an advocate and having, a team of people who really are looking out for everything for you, right?
Yeah, I definitely always felt like he was there and like there was more to be undercover. Like, there was just more that needed to be revealed. And my old RE was great. I loved him. He brought me Cole, but after 6 transfers with him, he wouldn't really dig deeper.
Okay.
And I just, like, something in me was just like, it's not right. We need to dig deeper. We need more eyes on this, new eyes. And it really gave me the strength, like knowing what pregnancy felt like and what carrying him felt like really gave me the strength to keep going, because I wanted that again so badly.
Yeah. And you had a different doctor then after the 6th transfer then?
Yeah, after we lost our girls in the summer of 2021, so my embryo split, and the embryo was female, so it split into 2 female embryos, and then they stopped developing. And after that, the OB at UCSF, who actually delivered Cole, did my D&C with the girls, and she's really good friends with my RE at CCRM. And so I kind of just found him actually through the help of the community too. So not only UCSF, but the help of the community. He was in a different office before, and a lot of women reached out and they're like, you have to go see him. So I switched over to CCRM. They're really well known across the world, actually. And I started with him just from the beginning. They were just so attentive and just really like, we are going to do everything that we can to try to figure out what's going on. And that's when like pieces started to fall into place, and we really started to uncover some of this stuff.
And that was Dr. Salem, was it?
Yeah, Dr. Salem at CCRM.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and we found out I had endometriosis. I had adenomyosis. We found out that there was scar tissue, just a lot of different things. So that was just really, it gave me a lot of hope, although we kept finding stuff. And we would think that like, okay, great. Like I have scar tissue, we got rid of it. Like that's the answer. Oh wait, I have endometriosis. Like I did a lap surgery. That's the answer. And things just kept coming, but it was still just, it was nice to have a doctor like standing next to me, fighting with me, trying to make sure that there was no stone left unturned.
So they found those things later on after multiple transfers, endometriosis, adenomyosis.
Yeah. So I did the common like receptiva biopsy, and it came back negative, and I didn't really have any signs of endometriosis.
Okay.
And so we just never really thought that that was an issue. And then I had a lap surgery to remove my other tube, and we wanted to remove the small portion of the tube they had saved for my ectopic, as well as scar tissue and a septum. And the surgeon, I went to an endo specialist, and she found endometriosis and adenomyosis.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And she wasn't super surprised.
She wasn't?
Yeah. No, she said, especially with anatomy like mine, it's not uncommon. Okay. But we were surprised because I didn't have any symptoms, and my receptiva came back clear, and
And the things that you were doing different for this 9th transfer, my gosh. So a natural modified FET, right?
Yeah. And I had done, we had tried a natural transfer before, but this was a natural transfer with letrozole. So it was like a modified stimulated. Letrozole is supposed to be great for women with endometriosis. It really helps. It helps like build your lining, and it helps foster ovulation. So we did that. I also did intralipids for my immune system to help suppress. Prednisone I did, which I had done before, but that paired with the intralipids, because like it has a pretty big impact on your immune system. And then I also did the AIP, autoimmune paleo or protocol. It's just a pretty strict diet that's really just helps calm your body and inflammation. Okay. And so I really like tackled inflammation and quieting my immune system. We also did 3 months of Alyssa for suppression, because although I had surgery for endometriosis in February, we did another egg retrieval when my estrogen shot up because of OHSS, and it had been 6 months since my surgery. So we felt better doing suppression before heading into a transfer.
Wow. You've been through it, girl.
Yeah, it's been a lot. It's been a lot.
When I was reading that you've done 9 2-week waits in 3 years. Is that right?
Yeah.
That's incredible. I mean, my gosh.
Because
So
we transferred this baby, my 9th transfer was almost exactly 3 years after my transfer with Cole. So it's been like 3 years almost on the dot since my first transfer.
wow, you've been so open about sharing how anxiety has been a struggle during these 2-week waits. And even, after going through so many of them, it never gets easier, right?
No, it almost gets harder. I mean, in some ways, like it gets easier because you know what to expect, and you're like, that like not every twinge or cramp or, nauseous morning means implantation, because unfortunately the meds literally make you feel pregnant. But it gets harder because so much is at stake. And for me, it was like 9 transfers. We pay for everything out of pocket. And at that point, we could have had a surrogate already. And it was just like, how many are you going to do before you kind of give up on your body? And like 9 was my limit. I was like, I can't do more than 9, even though we have more embryos. Like, I just can't do it.
Wow.
Because it's like the definition of insanity, right? Doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. But yeah, 9 2-week waits. So I have definitely mastered the like 2-week wait routine.
You can write a book on this. I mean, a lot of women can relate to, you've shared, like, I'm excited, I'm anxious, I'm skeptical. Like, you've had the whole range of emotions. So this is, 9 times. It does not get easier.
No. And it just like, you're still super anxious, especially come day 4 or 5. You don't know whether you're going to test or not test. You don't know if you should be in bed or go take a walk. I mean, every single time I questioned every little thing that I was doing. And it's really hard.
Well, this time didn't you have a new batch of embryos for this round?
I did. Yeah. So we went through we didn't. So we started with 12 PGS normal, but then we had to test out the single gene defect. So we ended up with 7. We went through, and then Cole was one of those. So we went through 6 of those. And then we went through 8 of those. And then I did my new round in last summer. I think it was like May, June of 2022. And we got 5 amazing embryos, which we're really happy about. Given my defect, like you just never know how many it's going to take out. So we got 5. And then this was the first one that we transferred from that new batch.
That's so amazing. Gosh, I remember doing a chakra reading right before transfer.
It was right before. Yeah.
And we created some new like mantras, affirmations. And I love that you shared a lot of your own. I am pregnant. This is a new baby, a new pregnancy, a new chance.
Yeah. It's just really important to remember, especially for women who have had multiple pregnancy losses, like I have, and for all different reasons too, like blighted ovum, miscarriage, chemical, like a very late loss, all these different reasons, that every pregnancy is a new chance. And even though it hasn't worked in the past, like the embryo does have a chance. And it's just a new opportunity. So that's kind of what saved me through this pregnancy, is like, this is not the same embryo that was a chemical. This is not the same embryo that miscarried. This is not the same embryo that, we lost due to a genetic defect. And it's just nice to remind yourself of that.
Yeah. How did you stay in that mindset? I mean, what helped you the most when you were in these trying times for years going through this?
My hope. I just I knew what it felt to be pregnant with Cole, and I just wanted that so badly. And I knew my body could do it. I've done it before. And I think just like my husband also was just in the mindset of like, we're going to do this. Like, we are going to have kids. Like we will do this together. And so I think just like having his stamina and his like dedication, at certain points I was like, okay, it's not your body though. Like, I'm tired. Like, it's easy for you to say, let's go. But I think just like those 2 things, and knowing that my body had done it before, and just, it's really sad when you just like, doctors keep finding things that are wrong with you. But at the same time, it's like, it just helped give me hope that like, okay, we've uncovered something new and we've addressed it. Like, this has to be it. This has to be it. And we were never doing, with my new doctor, we were never doing the same thing over and over again. And I think that gave me hope too. Like, approaching the ninth transfer, we did so many new things, and that allowed me to feel like, okay, I'm doing something different.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, Steven, he's been there with you. Tell us about the moment when you were in the store and you're buying wine and you get the call.
Yeah. So looking back, I can't believe we even agreed to this, but it was so I have two sisters, they're twins, and it was their birthday. And one of them wanted to go just get a beach house and relax down by the ocean. And we were finding out that Friday that we were driving down. And I was like, okay, well, I'll either get to drink wine all weekend or we'll be really happy. And we, of course, we went, and Steven and I have gone back and forth around testing. Like he supported me testing, but I just couldn't do it because this was like my last transfer. And I was so scared. Like I just could not pee on that stick. I didn't have the courage to. So we went in for my beta, and then we're driving down, and the whole time we're driving down, we're just like waiting for this call. And then he has to take a really important work call. So we're in the parking lot of Target, and I'm like, okay, I'm just going to run in and I'm going to just be right back, like, while you're on this call. And so of course I run in, and I'm like, I'm grabbing wine just in case.
Oh my God.
I'm like just grabbing a bunch of stuff for my sister and shopping at Target. And then I'm in line and they call. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, of course I'm not with my husband. He's on a call, so I can't run out. So my nurse is just like, Alyssa, did you test? And I was like, what? Like, you've never asked me this before. Like, what do you mean? Did I test? Like, and then I was like, did I? No, I didn't. And I'm like shaking, and there's like people in front of me behind me, and she's like, you're pregnant. And I was just in pure shock. Like I started shaking and crying, and I like turned to this like adorable old woman behind me, and I was like, I don't need the wine. Like, I'm pregnant. I can't drink this. And she was laughing. And I literally just like put everything down, and I ran out to the car, and my husband is like on this very important call. I want to say he was unfortunately having to lay someone off, to be honest. Like it was bad. And I was like, do I get his attention, or do I like, and I just went over to the window and I was like,
oh my God.
He just like freaked out. You could see the smile beaming on his face. And then I left him alone. And then after the call, he's like, wait, you're pregnant? What? And I had pregnancy tests in my purse, and like I took them out and I peed on like 5 of them, and I was like, it worked. And my beta was super high. So we were super cautious. Like we obviously told my sister and our boyfriend, like, you know, cause I wasn't drinking. First stop was a winery. It was like, we were excited, but we had been there before. So we were very cautious at the same time.
When did you tell them? You didn't tell them that weekend?
Oh, I did. I told them like right when I sat down, like they knew. I mean, they all knew that like I had my beta. I actually didn't tell anyone when my beta was. Like not even the community. And but they've been through this with me before, and they were like, the second I wasn't drinking, they're like, well, it's been 9 days and you love wine. So
oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was cute though.
Wow. So you share so much with the community. I mean, you just decided I'm going to keep some of this kind of private. I mean, I think there's some gifts to that.
I've actually kept like a whole transfer private before because I just wanted to do it in secrecy. Like I didn't even tell my best IVF friend. We didn't tell anyone. And it was a special transfer. It didn't work, but it was a special time. I think when you share, it can be a little overwhelming sometimes because people have a lot of questions, and I love the questions and I love answering them. But when it's such a high anxiety time, that it can be both a blessing and also just really exhausting. So I get why people keep some of that to themselves. And I think also when it works, people are like, they get so scared. And I think a lot of times partners too are like, okay, I know you've shared all the bad, but like, can we just have this good moment? Or can we, can we just keep this to ourselves? So I chose not to share my beta date just because I didn't want to be focused on Instagram. I wanted to be focused on like that moment, driving down to the ocean with my husband and processing.
I think that's key for a lot of women who are listening. Just, it's only if it feels good to share, if you want to share all the details and keeping everyone posted, but there can be a lot of added stress to that too.
Yeah.
And feeling this responsibility to update everybody on every step. And that's not really always necessary. I think there's some joys to be had when you kind of just are on your own journey and focus on you and your happiness. If those women or if those people at Target only knew, right, like what you were going
through. I know, they had no idea. She was just kind of cute. And I still bought the wine because I bought it for my sister. But it was just really special. And I think just having that day, like with Steven, and being able to celebrate that and then celebrate that weekend. And on the ride back up to San Francisco, we went in for my second beta, and we got the call right before we went to my parents' house to pick up Bailey. And getting that call and like being able to tell my parents in person was really special too.
Oh my, how have they been through all this? I mean, just by your side through every step of the way?
Oh yeah, they're great. I think I called my mom like in panic when we found out I had to do IVF. Because my husband works a lot, and I was like, needles, Mom, like she was a nurse, and I was like, you're going to have to help me. And my aunt went through IVF, and my mom gave her the, all the shots. And so I never had to have my mom do a shot, but, I quickly got over my fear. And, but my mom had pregnancy loss before me. So they've just all been really understanding and supportive. My family's all in the Bay Area. They're really close. They all follow me on Instagram. So there's no hiding anything from them.
You're an open book. I love that. I mean, and you share the resources that you share are incredible. Like, when did you step into this? Like, were you always into health and just wellness? Like when you were, watching all the things like that you share?
I think college is when I really started to become like health conscious. My parents growing up, my parents were always like very, I wasn't allowed to eat fast food or drink soda, and that always made me really mad. But now looking back, like I don't crave it at all. And I don't, I never wanted, and I can, contribute that to them really making healthy choices for us as kids and teaching us about, also moderation. Like my parents are huge into like, have the glass of wine, eat the burger, but so they're not, nobody, and Steven and I are like, pizza and wine is our favorite thing. But really in college, I started just becoming really interested in food and how it was made and ingredients. And I would always laugh because I'd spend my budget in college on like going to Whole Foods and buying, good food. And my friends would be like, well, no, I'm buying the alcohol. Like, I want to save it for alcohol or clothes. And I'm going to just, go to whatever store. And I just was really always prioritized it. And it fascinated me. And it really like made me happy and brought me joy. And then when I met my husband, I had sinus surgery and had sinus issues. And I found that no dairy and no gluten just really, really decreased the inflammation in my body and made me feel my best. So then when we did IVF, it was just kind of natural for me to think about, well, how can my lifestyle choices impact this and my success? And it's not for everybody, but I found success when I really did focus on reducing the inflammation in my body through diet. And when you have things like endometriosis and an immune issue, what you put into your body really matters, and it can really flare things up. So I just have learned so much. Doing the research is really fun for me and enjoyable. So if I can save anyone time and kind of just share what I've learned and give them like a cheat sheet, it's just been really fun for me and enjoyable.
I love it. Can you give us like maybe like your top 5 like tips around this, or what's in special diet or supplements, or what your favorite, like what is kind of some of your go-tos that you using?
My biggest thing for diet is like whole real foods. So like you don't have to cut out dairy. You don't have to cut out gluten. Like if it agrees with you, that's great. You don't need to cut it out. For me, it didn't for a long time, and it still doesn't, but I'm a firm believer of like pregnancy. I want to kind of give my baby exposure to everything. But it's not about dairy, it's about what type of dairy you're choosing, right? And for me, like, ingredients really matter, and the source of where it's coming from really matters. So I always look at the ingredients and just where it's sourced from and if it's organic. And I do think that quality makes a huge difference. So for me, like, the number one thing is ingredients, and just really reaching for like whole, real, like natural, good foods in their purest form if you can. And that means, like, yes, you can eat pizza, but like, we eat pizza, you know, I know that the crust is made from like organic, you know, flour, water, and salt, and that's it. And then, you know, I am a firm believer in like still allowing yourself to have wine or, you know, a drink or whatever it is that's like your guilty pleasure. I think completely cutting things out can just be really hard mentally and super stressful. And my doctor always said, like, if having a glass of wine is going to help you unwind and like lessen your anxiety, then have that glass of wine. And for me, like, it's true, it did. And of course, I would feel horrible if I had more than a few glasses of wine and I wouldn't get good sleep. And that was like a lesson learned that, yeah, it's like, again, in moderation. And then two, just things around your house. Like, you would never guess that the pots and pans that you're using could potentially be harming your hormones or fertility, or that the cleaner that you're using could throw off your hormones. And that's something that the book, It Starts with the Egg, is really good at digging into the research there and showing how these harmful chemicals that you're exposing yourself to every day can really make an impact. And then also at the same time, just not going overboard. So I get messages every day from people who are like, I want to do better. I want to get clean makeup. I want to get clean cleaning products. I want to clean out my fridge and only use, you know, certain ingredients, but I'm so overwhelmed by it all. And I always just say, like, take it step by step. Like, first get new pans, get a green pan set. It's like the easiest thing you can do. It's not too expensive. It comes with all the pans that you need, and just throw out everything else. Or go to a beauty store that focuses on clean beauty, like Creative Beauty, and just ask them, like, for your morning routine or a nighttime routine, and just kind of start in like baby steps. And I think you don't, like, these are lifestyle changes that you want to make forever, not just short term. So you can take your time. And then for supplements, I would say just the quality of the supplement is really important, because not all of them are third-party tested or lab tested, and they're not regulated. So it's really easy to just get crappy supplements. So just make sure that you do your research on which brands are the best. So I love brands like Pure Encapsulations or Seeking Health. Mega Foods is great. Thorne is great. They're great brands at all different price points, but it's just kind of making sure that you're using the right brands, because when you use a good supplement, it can actually make a huge difference.
And how many are you taking right now? Quite a lot, or?
No, I don't take that much anymore. I take vitamin D, I take my prenatal, I take my DHA, my folate, and my choline, and that's pretty much it. Oh, and I'm still on NAC.
Okay, thank you. So valuable. Good information. Thinking back to where you started, are there things that you would encourage others, like starting out in this process? Like, what would you maybe have done differently, or are there certain questions you would ask?
Yeah, I think I went in really naive and just kind of listening to the doctor and assuming that they were the professional and knew what was right for me. And they did at first. I was a really easy case. They were right. I didn't expect it to be as hard as it ended up being. And I think I would have liked to set my expectations a little bit more realistically going in, and just knowing that it's very rare for you to do one round of IVF, like one egg retrieval, and have your first transfer work. Like, that is very rare. And I didn't know that. And I think sometimes I always got really intimidated by medical professionals, because a lot of them, you know, have been in the field for many, many, many years, and they are very opinionated about what they think you need and what will work for you. And of course, they're the professional, and I love and respect my doctor so much, but I wish I would have started asking questions sooner. And I wish I would have started asking for things sooner, because I was told by doctors that I didn't need to worry about it and it didn't matter. And looking back, it's like, well, but what would that blood test have hurt? Nothing. Yeah, maybe it would have cost me a couple $100, but it would have told us a lot at the time. And I really just started making sure that like my medical team, because I had a lot of doctors, was filled with doctors who wouldn't question me if I asked for something within like reasonable, if I asked for immune testing, they would say like, okay, this is my thought. These are my thoughts on it, but I'm going to do it for you because you've been through a lot and we don't have the answers yet. Instead of just like, oh, that's stupid, I don't agree with it. No, we're not going to do it.
Yeah.
And finding doctors that were willing to work with me and listen to me and not just like dismiss my concerns and my asks. That was like the biggest thing for me.
Oh yeah. Feeling seen, right? Feeling heard.
Yeah.
You've added a lot of people on your team, I'm sure, over the last few years to your medical team too. Who would you say, like, can you name or share some of the different specialties that you've had?
Yeah, so I have had just my regular RE, who's Dr. Salem. I've also consulted and worked with Dr. Amy, the egg whisperer. They're both Dr. Salem, Dr. Amy are in the Bay Area. My doctor had gone out of the country. I believe he was getting married, so he was gone for like quite a while. And Dr. Amy really like stepped up to kind of fill in for him while he was gone. And that was amazing, just being able, because I know sometimes women will say like, I can't talk to my doctor for like a month or he's out of town or something. And just having that backup or second opinion can really be comforting. I also have an amazing team of fertility acupuncturists at Blue Ova. So they talk with my doctors, they know all my medications, they know my history, and I see them multiple times a week for support there. And then I have a OBGYN endometriosis specialist who only does surgeries now, and she focuses on endometriosis excision surgery. And she did my surgery. She's amazing. I recommend her to everyone in the Bay Area. Her name's Dr. Serrato. And then I have an OB fertility specialist who focuses on immunology. So my doctor at CCRM doesn't do a lot of immunity stuff. So this Dr. Fierro, who's in Los Gatos, he did all of the immune panels for me through RFU, which is Dr. KKRI lab in Chicago. So I had like my immune doctor, my endo doctor, my two REs, and then like my acupuncturist team, who's been just this big, a huge part. And then now I also have a PT prenatal team that I work with, just to make sure that like my body and my pelvic floor and stuff is ready for pregnancy. And they're amazing too, and have offered to talk to my doctor. So yeah, I have a really big team.
Yeah, it takes a village, doesn't it?
It does. And I think when you've been doing it for so many years and have so much failure, like you really want to seek out more than one opinion. And when those opinions kind of all align and they'll all kind of work together to support you, it's just a really magical thing.
Were you ever doing some of those alternative holistic supports like Reiki or fertility yoga or any of that?
Yeah, I did. Gosh, working out during IVF is so hard because it's like you have to pause, go, and then you have to find the energy and get back into it. And so I was like, there was a while where we had like our Peloton gang and we were all doing prenatal like Peloton stuff together. And that was really helpful. I've done Reiki, I've done meditation, I've done therapy, fertility yoga, acupuncture. I've done fertility lymphatic drainage massages. I've kind of tried it all.
You had a spirit baby reading too, didn't you?
Oh, a lot. Yeah, I did that a lot. Sarah's amazing. I almost went on a retreat with her in November and I didn't because I was transferring, and it was kind of around like cold and like COVID surge season, like right around when like everyone's getting sick. So I didn't go, but she is amazing and beautiful. And she has helped kind of guide me and give me so much hope. I know not everyone believes in that, but
no, I do.
there are things that she said to me that she could have never she couldn't have known. I mean, it blows my mind every time. And I think
Wow.
I tell anyone, especially women going through late loss, to see someone and to just get those messages, read the book Signs, get those messages from your baby, because it really gives you hope and allows you to keep going and release any guilt that you have that like your body failed you or you failed your baby. Our babies don't blame us, and they're always here with us, and getting those messages are really special.
Well, I know. Yeah. Cole's always giving you signs. And do you feel signs from your baby that you're pregnant with? Like, I mean, just.
No. And he's kind of a lazy baby. He doesn't move that much. And it's kind of like, why? I don't know. He's funny. Every time we go in for an ultrasound, he's not super active. And I haven't felt him too much like movement yet, just like a few of those like popcorn feels. But I haven't really asked for signs from him. But Cole, I was really into the signs like before I got pregnant. And now I just kind of have this like, I don't know, it's like this like blanket of just calmness that I know he's kind of always with me. So I've kind of fallen off the like, give me a sign right now. I think when I was really desperate or anxious, that was helpful. But I definitely should. I love the book Signs. I think everyone should.
It's good. I have that. Oh my goodness. Well, you've had quite the journey.
It's been a long journey. Yeah. And
so many are inspired by your story, and you've given so many people hope. Like, 9 rounds. I have another client too, 9 rounds it took her as well. It's just incredible. And for a woman that's kind of in this season where they're wondering if and when could this happen for me? Like, do you have any kind of like words of support you would offer a woman who is just like, what can I do? What can I do for myself?
Yeah, I think not losing the hope is really big. And if you feel like you have lost all hope, I would press pause on the journey and I would do things to fill your cup. And taking a break is hard. It was always one of the hardest things, because when you're grieving, you just want to get up and you want to get that pregnancy test. You want to get pregnant. You want to get your answers. And I think taking a step back, if you've lost the hope, taking a step back and just filling up your own cup and doing things that like bring you joy can be really helpful. And I know that that's hard to hear for women, because we don't want to take breaks, but I've always found them to be so helpful. I also think if you're not feeling supported by your current doctor, don't feel bad getting a second opinion. It can cost money, it can be expensive, but what you will get from it will hopefully be worth it. And I think even if it's just validating what your current doctor is saying, at least you have that validation. Or if it's bringing new ideas to the table, fresh eyes on you, it can be really helpful. I know a lot of women feel bad. Your doctor doesn't ever have to know. I mean, if you don't feel comfortable telling them, you can do it behind their back. It's not, you don't owe them anything. Like you're paying for someone to help you. And if you don't feel like you're getting the care that you deserve or need, then it's okay to go somewhere else. And then I also think it's also okay to give up. And I never want to say don't give up to people, because number 9 was going to be my last one. And then I was going to give up. And I don't really like those words, give up, but I actually think giving up is one of the most courageous things that you can do, because it's you putting your body and yourself and your mental health first and saying, this isn't working for me. And so I'm going to keep the hope, but try a different way and do something different that doesn't require me to put my body through hell. And I think that that's really courageous and so strong. And so I think like it's okay to have a plan B. And the second I had an actual plan B where we had the path defined and ready to go was when it worked for me.
Wow. There's that element of surrendering, right? That's surrendering. So you had a different path to motherhood if number 9 hadn't worked out for you.
Yeah. And it wasn't like I wasn't saying goodbye to my body forever, but I was saying goodbye right now. And it was just a path that was going to allow us to have our baby. And that was what we wanted in the end. And although I wanted to be pregnant, especially after already being pregnant and losing it, I wanted a healthy baby Earthside more. And that I think can be really beautiful when you just accept and surrender to plan B.
Oh my gosh. Wonderful advice. I too agree. I just think taking the pressure off of ourselves, where there's a lot of different paths to motherhood, and maybe it's time to change course, different direction. But you have been such an inspiration to so many, in your account, Healthy IVF. It's brought a lot of joy to so many people and hope. And I was just having a call with a woman in Australia, and she mentioned about you. And it's like,
I love that.
It's wonderful.
I wish I could do like a world tour and meet like all the warriors. And I actually have, like, when I've been overseas, I've gotten to meet a few different warriors in Europe, which has been so fun.
Oh, really?
New York and just New Orleans. I mean, so
well,
one
we need
day
to
when
create
I'm traveling
something
again.
Yes, I have a desire to put an event together. I mean, there's so many of us in the community who are connected. We've never met in person, right? But we're so connected, and just your beautiful light. I appreciate you reading my book, and thank you for just all the work that you do. And people can find you at Healthy IVF, the account. Anywhere else that you want to encourage people to reach out to you?
So I do have 2 Facebook groups, and they're actually a really good place for women who want to kind of crowdsource. I get a lot of questions about, oh, do you know anyone in the community, or could you crowdsource? One of them is called Healthy IVF Journey, and that's for women who are in the journey. And I started that spring of 2019 when I first started IVF. And it's just a really safe, positive place for women to ask questions without being judged and get others' opinions. And then I also have one called Healthy IVF Pregnancy. And admittedly, I'm not super active in that one. I have muted it for obvious reasons for a while. I started it when I was pregnant with Cole. But I need to become more active in it. It kind of runs itself, like women. It's just a great place, especially when you're in those early days and you're like, I'm cramping, is this normal? Or I'm bleeding, is this normal? What do I do? And when you're kind of you can go on at any hour, day or night, and just kind of share your thoughts or ask questions. And it's also a really safe, positive space. So it's Healthy IVF Pregnancy and IVF Health Journey. And both of those Facebook groups are private, so no one will know that you're in them if you do choose to join. And they're just really great resources.
Those are great. Oh my gosh, good resources. Thank you for sharing. And do you plan on staying in San Francisco as a new
long term? Yeah, we're here to stay. We lived in our current house, I think, for almost 6 years in May, and we absolutely love it. I think if we're so lucky to build our family even larger than just one little one, or 2, we might think about moving, but we'll stay in the same neighborhood. We've kind of decided we're city people.
I know you love Paris so much, right? You're a Paris girl.
Yeah, my husband just got his Greek citizenship, which opens us to the EU. So we'll definitely be living in France for some amount of time once our kid is Earthside.
That's so exciting. Well, I'm so grateful to have this talk with you. Thank you for just sharing, being so open, and we're all cheering you along the way. So summer of 2023, right?
Yeah, probably July. I mean, I stopped in August because the baby's probably going to come early. When you have 2 uteri, it's usually between 34 and 36 weeks. So
okay. We're cheering you on. Love you, girl.
Thank you.
Bye, Alyssa.
Bye.